Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Richard Lewis Show. I was just talking with my guest there, so you caught us a little bit unawares. But we did like to play a nice little introduction song that we thought was reasonable, given the guest. That was Ice-T's Cop Killer back when he was in a rock band called Body Count. You can Google it. It got banned. That's my sense of humor. And I've been wanting to get the chap we've got on the show on for a long, long time. It's DonutOperator. Cody to his friends. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, look, for those that don't know, Cody's a very interesting guest and somebody that I think is going to have some nice overlap between kind of the two worlds, because he's a gamer, he's a streamer, but more interestingly, I think, and where the bulk of the podcast is probably going to go, is that DonutOperator is also an ex-police officer, the clue being in the name, because they apparently like donuts and everything. So here you go then, Cody. I'm going to ask you this is the softball question to get in, because I didn't do any research, of course. So what kind of police were you?
I was a patrol officer in Spartanburg, South Carolina for 3 years, and 2 of those years I was on a SWAT team, so I did that kind of thing. Mainly just patrol, just a regular patrol officer with the SWAT team stuff on the side. And I was on a K9 tracking team where, like, if someone does a burglary or robs somebody and they run off into the woods, you go track them with the dog. So I would watch the K9 handlers back, and I did some other stuff like that. Did a few drug buys, did a few prostitution stings. So yeah, man. So
you were an actual door knocker?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Dude. So tell me about it then, man. I mean, like, you said you did a little bit of sting work. Was that you undercover, or?
Yeah.
Or were you kind of observing, or?
No, I've actually done the. I did this 2 or 3 times. We did the prostitution buys where you go pick up prostitutes and you pretend to be Johns, and it's sad that women go out there and do that to themselves. They get to that point. Most of them are addicted to drugs, and that's the only way to pay for their drugs. But you always do it with someone else. So I had another guy with me who was a police officer, and we'd go out and we'd talk to the prostitutes, and just to kind of keep it interesting, we would haggle and see how low we could get it. And so there were some you'd be like, hey, I'll give you a $5 Burger King coupon and $10 if both of us can do that. And it was crazy, man. It's such a surreal thing to go out and do stuff like that.
If you're doing it for like fast food vouchers, is it still a crime?
I mean, you got to throw. Well, that's why we had the money on there. But yeah, it was nutty, man. We did that a few times, and it was always with one of my buddies who I was on the SWAT team with. So we tried to make the best of it. But yeah, that's what we did.
Well, what about the drug bust? Was it just kind of like hand to hands, like you were just going out and you'd approach somebody that was selling, or was it a bit more sophisticated than that?
Stuff like that. I never really did too many buys myself, but I worked closely with narcotics, being on the SWAT team and everything. And so just usually going out and watching them, they would have the car all bugged and they'd be like, I'm going to buy this for this much and this. And then if you need to move in, you arrest the person. So, those were pretty simple.
What about the door knocking stuff then? So I'm interested in that, because obviously as a streamer, you're now running a risk of being on the opposite end of being swatted.
Yeah, man.
So
I did an AMA on Reddit, and it got to like the first post on Reddit about I am a streamer who is also on the SWAT team. I did that last year, and literally there was a lot of questions I answered on there. But I lived in the city that I was on the SWAT team at, so everyone would always joke if I got swatted, it would be my butt. I would get a call on my phone, and it would be like, "Hey, Cody, you need to go, gear up and raid this house," and it would be my address on it. So. We always joked about that.
Yeah. So I mean, tell me about the mechanics of a SWAT team, because it's kind of, I imagine everyone's got different roles, right? They're all pretty well coordinated. Mm-hmm. So talk me through like a SWAT raid, like what's the process and the build up? Because increasingly you see a lot in the news these days. And I have no idea if this is because of media bias or if because it's so rare it becomes newsworthy and therefore there's a perception that it happens more often than it does, right? But you see a lot of these kind of SWAT takedowns where it's they get the wrong address. That's something, or they kill a dog, or it's they go to a house and it's some fucking it's completely overzealous. It's some like low level guy with like a fucking pound of marijuana in his bedroom, no guns in the house, and it's real overkill. So I guess going right back to the kind of like the point where, what warrants a SWAT raid, right? I mean, what's the process in the build up to it?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of them are drug raids. Like narcotics will go out, they'll find a house, they'll have a they'll have an informant in there saying, hey, there's a ton of drugs in here, there's people in here with warrants, blah blah blah, and then that's when we would normally get suited up and go hit the house. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, of course, it was like we had what we thought was we did barricaded suspects quite a bit. So people that either run from the police or a patrol officer gets called there and it's like a criminal domestic violence, someone locks themselves in the room with a gun. We went to a few of those, and most of the time it was just drug warrants though. And I can tell you, I can't speak for other SWAT teams. I can speak for my SWAT team that I was on. Is every time we did a raid, it wasn't just like finding a dime bag or something like that. And even if we did find a dime bag, there were 2 or 3 people in the house that had like violent felony warrants on them and things like that.
So again, what happens on one? You got a guy who's got to take the door down. Mm-hmm. I imagine you've got do they always have like sniper support, or is that like a must have? Or
not always. My SWAT team when I was there didn't even have a sniper. And of course the guy in the front is normally the biggest guy on the team because he's got to be the one to break the door down. And usually and in the stack on the second man we always had a guy with a shield. And we just, we did the regular thing. We had the flashbangs. We never tossed them in a house unless we really needed to, because of what you were saying. The whole thing, I think it was in Atlanta where it happened, where they tossed the flashbang in the crib with the baby and burned the baby up. That's why we never tossed flashbangs in houses. We would toss them like around the side of the house, so everyone's attention would be directed to the side of the house while we kick in the front door and go in. And and then 5-6 guys behind them, and we all go through, clear the house, make sure there's no more dangerous people in there.
So you must be a bit of an adrenaline junkie, I guess, in a way. I don't think I've ever met a cop or a military guy that, wasn't like that. The idea is not that the rush makes you out of control, although I'm pretty sure there are individuals that does apply to. But, there's a potential for a life and death situation on the other side of that door, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So you've got to have a specific kind of mindset, I guess, to want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so. A lot of people don't, but I'm not going to say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I certainly loved it. I love the danger and everything. I was in the Navy for 5 years, and for like 3 or 4 of those years, I spent trying to be a Navy SEAL because I wanted to do that kind of work, and I ended up getting hurt, and that didn't work out for me. So I guess you could say I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, but that's not the big reason why I did it.
Mm. Well, I talked to a lot of police officers around here in Atlanta because one of the dirty little secrets, I guess, about being a police officer is that you usually have to have a second job. People don't really talk about that a lot, but it's true. It's true around here anyway. A lot of them drive Ubers, or they got carpentry jobs. They'll come around and do kind of manual labor for you. Yeah. And, I'm a talkative guy, spend a lot of time in bars when I'm not doing this. And obviously with my job over at Turner, we got police kind of around, keeping us safe and everything. And, I was talking to this one guy the other day, and he was just like, I miss it now, like he's all retired. He got like some medical discharge or something. And he was like, I miss it now, like fucking car chases and all this shit. And it's so weird for me as a British guy, because it's 2 different worlds in terms of what the police do. Yeah. You don't really get into car chases in the UK. And, and if they do, they're not very high speed. And there's certainly no one leaning out the back and shooting at you, because we don't really have guns. London, yeah, sure. Manchester, sure. Liverpool, sure. Newcastle. That's about it, really. I mean, in Scotland, they don't really even have them. Kind of in Glasgow, maybe. Yeah. But it's like, you got to go to the real crazy crime cities to kind of experience that. But like, around here, the police, everyone's got a shootout story. Everyone's got a fucking car chase story. And these are just regular beat cops. These are just guys on patrol.
Yeah.
that are just, you know, and they make fuck all money as well. they make
that's true.
No, seriously. I mean, like they were telling me their salaries, and it's like some of them were making, you know, what like a teacher would make, you know, less. You know, like it's insane to me.
I mean, that's true, man. I worked in a city that nickname was Murderburg, and you know, we had a shooting at least once a week. And so, you know, I've been through all the high speed car chases and shit like that. And I was paid I think it was like $31,000 or $32,000 a year.
Man, that's criminal, dude.
Yeah. And it sucked, dude. I had to work a lot of overtime just to make ends meet. And like you said, a lot of officers do have to get side jobs. You know, working at Walmart as the security guy on the weekends, or, you know, working at clubs as the security guy. I don't think I knew anyone that didn't have a second gig going.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they fucking said it as well. Like OT, apparently there's something that's happening in the state right now, like where it's they fucked up the budget and like they can't get overtime at the moment. So again, all these police are out there doing these fucking like secondary jobs, you know, and it's like the last thing I'd want in a life or death situation is a tired police officer. Yeah, you know, like a police officer who's like spent his entire weekend like building a fucking house for somebody else, and it's like, well, Monday morning, I'll go to that shootout having had 4 hours of sleep and a bit of a sore shoulder. You know, like I don't want that. It seems crazy to me. How do we get to a point where police are so fucking criminally underpaid? When, you know, we've got a shortage, right? I mean, it seems to be a job not a lot of people would want to do. Maybe I might be wrong.
Every agency across the country, and there's been a lot of articles written on this, is experiencing a shortage of police officers right now. And like police officers leaving the job and people wanting to be police officers are just it's going down. Like no one wants to do it anymore. And you can turn on the news and kind of see why. Yeah, it's nuts, man. And the pay that's a huge factor in it, dude. Huge factor. And like you said, the police officer comes in tired and ready to go to a shooting, but you got to think they have their side job, they have their family they need to keep up with, they have their primary job as a police officer, they might have a collateral duty like SWAT team or K9 or something like that. 12-hour shifts. Then I haven't even mentioned court. You have to go to court a lot, and just all the extra stuff that goes with it, man. You never stop. You hardly ever get rest.
That's so fucked up, man. So is that why you quit? I mean, you know, I don't know why you kind of decided to move away from it. I mean, you're a young looking dude, but I guess with all the experience you've got, I mean, what, are you in your 30s?
I'm 29.
Okay, so you're almost there. Yep. Yeah. Well, you got. Let me tell you, as a guy who's gone past it, you got some fun things to look forward to. I mean, you're obviously in better shape than me, but there's some shit that'll start creeping up with you now. It doesn't matter how well you looked after yourself. I think by the time you hit 35, just fucking forget about it. Stop drinking water before you go to sleep at night. I'll tell you that for nothing, because you got zero chance of not getting up for a piss. Zero chance. But yeah. So why did you decide to quit? Because I mean, you obviously liked the job, and you know you were in it a long time. You served in the Navy, so.
Yeah, I loved it, man. But it just got to a point where it was really there was a big strain on my family, because I have two kids. I have two 8-year-olds. I have a fiance, and you know, coming home and having to like wash blood off yourself, so you know, AIDS blood and nasty shit off yourself just so you can hug your kids, and then like every day before work, my son or my daughter would be like, "Hey, Dad, don't get shot today." And you know, that just started getting to me after a while. And like one of the big reasons I left is like one call in particular I went to. It was a wreck, and it was she was like 19 or 20-year-old black girl was going like 110 miles an hour, and just ran right into a tree, right? And it crushed her dash like completely into her legs, and it crushed the dash completely into the front seat. So she was messed up. She wasn't dead, but she was messed up. But crushed under the front seat of the dash was a baby carrier, and there was and all the windows busted out on the car. There was baby shit all over the road, and so we're freaking out, because I was one of the first ones to arrive on scene, and we're looking in the field for this baby because we thought it might have gotten thrown out of the car. There weren't any windows left. We're looking on the road for the baby, and then we start thinking, holy crap, what if this baby is completely crushed under the dash that was inside of the car? Now the engine block was inside of the car. And so we're looking for like an hour and a half. We're waiting on the fire department to pry her out so that they can pry the dash up and see if there's a baby spaghetti underneath the dash. And after like 2 hours, the grandfather of the baby pulls up and he's like, "Oh no, don't worry, I have the baby." And we're like, "Oh my god!"
Happy fucking ending.
It was a happy ending, but like that same day, one of my relatives called me and they're like, "Hey, we know you're doing this YouTube thing. We know that you're pretty stressed out right now. Do you want to come? Rent an apartment that we have on Lake Hartwell, which is in Anderson?" So I was like, have my family stressed out all the time, have me stressed out all the time, go do YouTube and kind of live at a cool place for cheap rent. They offered me really cheap rent. So I chose the latter, man. So now I'm doing the YouTube and Twitch thing.
I don't blame you. Since we had a happy ending for that story, I'll get you to do what I always do. And obviously you've got the right to veto these, but everyone's got a fucking, the near death story, right? The bad one, the one where you realize like, it's 1 inch or 30 seconds, this is the difference maker, right? Everybody's got one of these.
Yeah. I don't know. I think anytime we did a SWAT raid, that was it's something like that's going through your head. And the cool thing about that, though, or the funny thing about that, is people think that like being on the SWAT team is more dangerous than being a regular patrol officer. But you're with like 5 or 6 other dudes that know exactly what they're doing with full body armor and rifles, and it's a lot less dangerous than being a regular patrol officer. As far as like close calls go with stories, I don't know, man. I think I have more gross stories, like disgusting, awful stories, than close calls.
I like those too. Hit me up.
Yeah. Oh man, there used to be this one always pops in my head when people ask me what my grossest story was. We used to have this homeless guy that would walk around town, right, and he would just piss on himself and shit on himself and just sleep wherever. And he was on heroin and on just drinking profusely. I don't know where he got his money from, but no one ever wanted to arrest him because he just smelled awful. And I went to a shoplifting with him one day, and it turned out he didn't shoplift anything, but he was walking around the store. He paid for it in the end. He was walking around the store with like 3 pounds of chicken thighs with the bone still in them, eating them raw, like the bone and all, just crunching on them, dude.
Please, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you one. Obviously, we got a knock on the door one day, right, from like some fucking officers, and they wanted to like ask us some questions about some shit, and I was like, okay, cool. What is it, And they said there'd been an accident outside of our house. This is when I lived in this small Welsh village. And I was like, oh, well, what kind of accident? And they were like, well, a lady got hit by a truck. And I was like, oh, I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear anything even. And they were like, oh, well, no, you wouldn't have heard anything. We've got the body, but we're looking for the head. And what had happened was, one of those big freight trucks, the things you put on the back, and you put these like metal arms in place to like lock the freight in. Yeah. Well, what had happened was one of them, as it was driving along the street, had just fallen down and was just like hanging out there. And this chick's just walking, got her fucking back to this fucking big metal thing, and it's just come and it's literally just clocked her head off because she was an older lady, I guess, and. I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference. I got this mental image of because you're old, the head just kind of comes right off, Yeah. But I might be wrong about that. I don't know if that's true. I guess maybe you're just as likely to be decapitated if you're 20 as you are at 80. I don't know. But yeah, her head was clean off, and it was all farm fields all around, like this fucking rural Wales, right? So the officers were literally going through fucking cornfields or whatever looking for a fucking head.
Man, that's
I think they got it. Like that was one of those ones where it's like, yeah, you don't mind putting the kettle on. Yeah, all right, officer. Yeah, okay. I'll make you a cup of tea because you're going to be looking for a severed head, and and I'm a student. So
dude,
no
that's
problem.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that was a pretty rough one. So I mean, how have you found transitioning out? Like, I mean, do you ever miss it?
Yeah, I miss it more than anything. Like
Cool.
I've thought about going back here and there, but it really was just the stress, man. I'd much rather do other things, and I'd much rather my family be happier with everything. But yeah, I miss the hell out of it.
Even the shitty pay.
No, I don't. I mean, that's another big reason I won't go back. I don't miss the shitty pay. Like I'm making as much now, combined streaming, YouTube, and I'm a writer for a few law enforcement news blogs and stuff like that. Awesome. And I don't even have to leave my house. I can do that in my underwear,
So tell me about perceptions of the police in America, because there's a reason why. The original plan was to play NWA's "Fuck the Police," and then we thought that was a bit too subtle, so that's why we went with Ice-T's "Cop Killer." And obviously, throughout music, throughout modern culture, there is this, hostility towards the police. Now, I'll be honest. As I've got a little bit older and have a bit more of a nuanced perspective about life, I do understand that the average police officer you're going to meet is just a regular blue collar guy, same as me. And they're trying to do something good for their community for not a lot of fucking money. And a lot of them do risk their lives, especially in America. That being said, there are, of course, the assholes, and it's always the assholes that fucking make the headlines. And we just kind of see it fucking time and time again, this use of deadly force when it's questionable, and guys just, misusing authority. And in particular, I got to say, in America, I think there is it's not a large percentage, but there is a percentage of police officers that I just think are out of fucking control. And I don't know how you go about weeding them out. That's my perception anyway. I might be completely wrong. I mean, you've gone into a fucking station house, day in, day out. You've worked with the guys. But I mean, did you ever have guys, maybe not in your unit, but in the building, where you thought, how's that motherfucker a police officer?
Yeah, I mean, we did. And one thing I want to go ahead and say is that I never saw any instance of police brutality when I was working there, and that's hard to believe. I worked there for 3 years, and it's a very busy city, but I never really saw any police brutality, like overuse of force or anything like that. But if there were people that a lot of us would say they don't need to be police officers, but it wasn't because abuse of power, and it wasn't because they're assholes to people. It's primarily because they suck at being a police officer, either A, because they're scared shitless, or B, just because the training didn't really kick in on them, and they didn't pick it up. Like they just don't. I would say there are more people with a lack of aggression than there are too much aggression, honestly.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. There was a video. Shit, Sam. Can you find it so I can show Cody? I don't know if you've seen it, but it was 2 London police officers, and they were trying to arrest the guy, and one was trying to rugby tackle him to the floor. Did you see this?
Yes. Yeah, one of them, he's dragging one of them around like a child.
Yeah, and the other guy, he's hitting him with a fucking stick, and one of those retractable truncheons that we like so much in the UK. And it's just holy fucking shit, this is embarrassing, dude. But yeah, you're right. I imagine it happens quite often where you see people who are scared. Again, there was another more serious, less comedic incident. Another guy, I think it was shortly after the first London truck attack. There was a guy who was waving a machete around outside of a block of flats, screaming that he was going to do this, that, and the other. There's about 12 police officers there with tasers and shit. And as he's stepping towards them, they're turning their back and running away. It's what the fuck?
They're beside cars, and he's standing in grass, the guy with the knife or the machete. I saw that one, and he comes at him, and they just run back, and then they let him get closer. See, that I can't. Man, that kills me right there, because someone, it's a round apartment. Someone could have easily walked out. That guy could have ran over and stabbed them. He could have taken someone hostage. Yeah, that was a crazy situation, man. They just kept pepper spraying them and then backing up, and then pepper spraying them again, backing up.
What do they think's going to happen? It's going to go super pepper spray. If you keep doing it, he's eventually going to overdose on pepper and fall to the fucking ground. Dude, it's not working. It's sometimes some motherfuckers are so hopped up, you see them get hit by the taser and they just shrug that, they just walk it off. Dude,
tasers. Have you seen the video I made about tasers?
Oh, I actually didn't watch that one. I haven't seen it. So
tasers are they work 50% of the time, because it's two prongs that has to stick into someone's skin.
Yeah,
so if one of those
any electric current, right? It's got
If one of those prongs hits a loose shirt, hits a heavy jacket, doesn't hit at all, hits a hat, it's just not gonna fucking work. And there's some people it just doesn't affect. I don't know how that works. Maybe they're too fat or something, but there's some people it just doesn't even affect. And they're not foolproof at all.
Taser protection. That's what I got right here, baby.
But that's what kills me too. People with knives, and they're like, "Why didn't he tase them?" Well, a knife, you get poked with it in the right spot one time, you die, and a taser isn't foolproof. So we're not taking our chances there.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it was like I was watching that video, and I was just like, someone's got to take charge of this fucking situation. You're letting one guy, because I mean, let's be real. I imagine all of those police officers that had to attend that scene are going to have to file some form of paperwork, right?
Oh yeah, every one of them. Use of force.
Yeah, while they're there, they're dealing with that incident and not another incident.
Mm.
And again, I don't know if there's anything in the British police force where you would be taken out of kind of like the rotation temporarily if you'd been involved in what was deemed to be a violent incident earlier in the day, or you got to get some mandatory counseling or whatever the fuck. But that's like 12 officers now tied up in the bullshit system because the 2 officers that fucking went there couldn't just deal with one dude. You've got all the tools at your disposal, I mean, all right, maybe you need 4, but someone's just got to go in, be like, you're going to put the knife down. You're not, are you? All right, okay, cool. Here's a fucking taser to the face, and you run over and put cuffs on him. Like, running around in a fucking circle, like, what you got the fucking uniform on for,
Yeah, but like I said, tasers are not foolproof whatsoever. And with a guy with a big ass knife like that, they should have. I don't know. They should have gotten.
We don't have arms. Like you got to have very specific criteria for armed response.
Yeah, I know they have armed officers, but they have to like call them out and they have to check the weapons out, and like there's a whole process for getting an armed officer out there. That seems like one of those situations where an armed officer should have came out there and been like, "Look, you either put the knife down or it's not going to end good for you."
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're fucked for that right now in the UK because Theresa May, when she was Home Secretary, what she did was, I mean, she took we don't have a lot of armed response units in the UK. Mm-hmm. She took away 1,300 trained armed response officers off the streets, gone, and they were replaced with approximately 900 off-duty soldiers. Which isn't the same, and you only really get them in the big cities. They're very limited outside of that. She just gutted the fucking police force. The training. It's a nightmare. That's probably what they were waiting for. Honestly, it's probably why they're running around like a bunch of fucking headless chickens. They're thinking maybe we can get an armed response unit. Well, good fucking luck. You got to be doing something really. But you've got to be heading towards Parliament with a bomb vest on. I think these days, it's so fucked up. But yeah, so you're definitely right. I think in the sense that you've got to have a certain focused aggression, right? Like to do that job, and people who don't have that are going to cause problems. But to your point, you never saw one guy who you thought like, fuck me, like you must have been bullied at school and your out was like joining the police or something,
Not with my department. No, we had some amazing officers, and this I missed my department I worked at specifically for this reason, is because everyone there, most everyone, like I said, there were a few guys that were just, they shouldn't have been doing it. Most everyone there was just awesome. Everyone was well trained. It's one of the best places in South Carolina to be trained at, and very, very, very busy city. It was, like I said, we had like one shooting a week at least, and I never really saw anyone overstep their boundaries. And I can't say that, of course, about other departments or other agencies or things like that. But at my department, we had 126 sworn officers. In 3 years, I never saw anyone overstep their boundaries.
So in terms of the training, I mean, there's obviously, self-defense techniques, firearms training, physical fitness. Mm-hmm. But what about the more kind of psychological and interpersonal aspects? I mean, one of the big criticisms that the police in America is getting right now, and I'll be honest, I think it's valid, is that they don't know how to deal with mental illness When they're confronted. Because look, and I isn't say I'm not sympathetic, because I am, because obviously a mentally ill person with a gun is still a person with a gun at the end of the day. And maybe their mental illness means that they're not going to do anything, or they're more of a danger to themselves than they are to somebody else, or maybe it means they're more likely to do something. And in the split second you've got to make a fucking assessment, it's kind of unrealistic to oh well, it's all right, don't worry guys, I did a module on this, he's actually projecting. You don't have that luxury of time. But I think, or at least certainly from police officers I've talked to, I mean, a lot of them always said they were really kind of ignorant of that stuff. Like, it wasn't part of their training. So they don't know how to deal with certain situations when they arise. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Or, I mean,
and I can't speak for every police department or every state across the United States, because of course every agency has different training.
Sure.
There's different police academies. Like in South Carolina, you have to go through one police academy to be a police officer. So everyone gets the same training. There are some states where you can go to colleges and get police training and then become a sworn officer. We really didn't have too much mental illness training, but if you're responding to someone, like you said, with a gun or a knife or something like that, it's still a person with a deadly weapon. And we always did take precautions going to those calls. Like, we have a 911 log. So, the dispatcher would have a log of like, hey, this person here you're responding to has a mental illness, and they would be sure to tell us that. So we would respond with 5 or 6 officers, and definitely respond with tasers and talk. And usually there were family members around, and we knew the family members. And I mean, we knew who had mental illnesses, but if we were dealing with someone we didn't know who had a mental illness, if they had a gun or a knife, you handle it appropriately so they don't hurt anyone else, and try to keep them from hurting themselves.
Yeah. Do you think they can do more? I mean, what would your feedback be as a former officer? Like, what would you change about the way?
I mean, as far as mental illness goes?
Yeah, and just, there's other things. I mean, it's not just mental illness, although that's the kind of hot button topic right now. I guess we're going to start talking about the race issue at some point. There's a perception that there's systemic racism in the police force in America, I think some of that might be about people's perceptions. Maybe they don't know how to deal with certain people with certain cultural backgrounds. Yeah. But I mean, so we'll come to that in a second. But just from a mental illness perspective,
man, I don't know. I mean, there's. Like I said, the training that we received, I think, is enough to respond to somebody that has a weapon or is trying to hurt people or something. But as far as recognizing different mental illnesses, I suppose we could get more training on that. And I mean, I've dealt with mentally ill people, and it always worked out. If they're trying to hurt people, you just do the same thing. You put them in handcuffs. If they're trying to shoot someone, you treat them as a regular person with a gun. Yeah.
So I guess we can sort of bring up the kind of race stuff. There's this big movement right now. I'm sure you've seen it. It kind of stems from a lot of negative media coverage that there is a perception police officers are more likely to shoot black male suspects than they are any other group of people. I looked at the statistics. I don't understand how you have to spin the numbers to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be statistically accurate. But then some of the most egregious violations of police trust do seem to happen to black people. So, I mean, what's your take on it all? I guess. I mean, it's such a broad topic. I mean, we could probably make the whole show about this, and I don't want to do that. But I definitely want some illumination, if you will, from somebody that's been out there and kind of been on the front lines of what is a very difficult compromise to negotiate. You need to do what you have to do. But you might be faced with a black person. You don't want to oppress them. You don't want to come off as racist, but you've also got to act in the interest of the safety, not just of yourself, but of course, society at large. Yeah. And, I see a lot of these shootings and I think, that get discussed. And I see some where I think, that's kind of seems like a sound shooting to me. I don't know why people are making a big song and dance about it. But then I see others and I just think, how is this happening? Like, how can that? There's just no justification for it.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be bad shoots like that. There, according to FBI statistics, there are over 60 million interactions with police every single year. Wow. So you're going to see a few bad shootings, and of course, the bad shootings are always going to be the one that the media plays because that gets their ratings, that gets the clicks, that gets all that. And I mean, as far as the black neighborhoods thing goes, I policed a black neighborhood. It was 99% black people for the majority of the 3 years I was policing. So, I knew people by name. And I think there just needs to be better understanding between police officers and the black community. You can't be like some of these groups and say, no, don't talk to police officers. Or, there was a big barbecue. Police, I forgot where it was. Police were trying to have a barbecue with the black community, and Black Lives Matter came out and said, no, you better not be having a barbecue with them.
Yeah,
but
I saw that,
that's, I mean, we want to connect, and we want you to connect with us. But I think there just needs to be more transparency between police and the black community. Like, I would go to calls, like, I went to a lot of shootings working in this certain community. It was a really bad place to be, and I would go there and I'd be like, hey, did you see what happened? No, I didn't see anything. Hey, did you see what happened? No, I didn't see anything. And we want to help. We want to arrest the people, but no one will talk to you. And a lot of that comes from the news saying, oh, the police are bad. Look at the police shooting all these black people. Da 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 da. You remember Keith Scott last year in Charlotte got shot, and it caused, the city of Charlotte rioted, and it caused like $5 million worth of damage to the city. Mm-hmm. On that same day, and he was shot. He had a gun. Mm-hmm. And they told him, CNN actually edited the footage. They told him to drop the gun 18 times. CNN edited that part out, and they went straight from the wife going, no, don't shoot him, to them shooting him. But anyways, on that same day in the United States, 5 white dudes were shot by police, and some of them were sketchy. Some of those shootings, I was like, that's a little weird, but none of those were covered. Yeah. And the media just loves feeding on this whole race thing because it's just so popular. So it's crazy, man.
As somebody that's been in, and this is what you use, community, how is the approach to community policing these days? Because community policing requires time, requires resources, requires visibility. You can't be behind a desk. You got to be out there on the streets talking to people. You got to be visible in the community. Mm-hmm. And there's not the resources or the money right there. Every minute you're a police officer, the state's going to squeeze you harder and harder.
Oh, absolutely.
To get the most out of you, because you're just a resource at the end of the day to lower crime statistics, so they can get more funding and make a bigger argument about gentrification. So all the wealthy property owning friends can make more money on building houses. I mean, this is a huge sprawling system of bullshit, but
it really is, man.
But if you can't be out there and make those connections with the community, like, you're always going to be an outsider, right? I mean, in your experience, because again, it's kind of like what Donald Trump was talking about. I don't think the average black person rejects police presence in their neighborhood. I think they'd welcome it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just around the corner from Decatur.
Yeah.
This used to be the hood where I live. Mm-hmm. And I got not popped that, but I was next to some popping not that long ago when I went to go to this illicit liquor store. Yeah. So, I talk to people around here all the time. I think they'd welcome more police, not less.
It sucks too, because in these neighborhoods, of course, there's a lot of people in these neighborhoods that do want to have more police officers in there, that want more policing, and there's a lot of drug activity. It's a poor neighborhood. There's a lot of drug activity. There's a lot of drug dealers. Drug dealers have guns. Drug dealers don't want the police in there. But I know the majority of these people want police in there to be talking to them and helping them, but they can't say anything, primarily because there's the drug dealer that doesn't want the police in there, and they're dangerous and they have guns, and it's nuts, man. And like you said, the whole thing with putting more police officers out there to talk to them is money. It all comes down to money. And then you have groups like Black Lives Matter and certain organizations like that want to divest from the police and take money away from them. Yeah. That's not going to solve anything.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. I mean, as a group, I did notice that there's been a few vocal people who've spoken out against their message, right? Which is, look, I mean, obviously, I agree, Black Lives Matter. You know, I'm a fucking humanist at the end of the day. But apparently, I'm told I can't say all life matters or all lives matter because that's now code for racism. I don't understand that. I get as upset. You know, if I think a police officer has acted illicitly and killed somebody unlawfully, I'm upset by that. And outraged to the same degree, regardless of what race the victim was. Yeah, and I can say that honestly with a clear conscience. But I think there is a danger in the kind of like segregational message that's being pumped out, because what we need to do to beat the system that we've got in place right now is we need the police to feel welcome in the community so they can do effective community policing. We need open channels of communication between black neighborhoods and police officers of all races, but it's still an overwhelmingly white job, I'm told. But statistically, so there has to be open channels of communication, and when you're promoting segregation, and like you say, when you're saying let's defund police forces that fail, it's the lack of money, training, and time that causes the failure. Less money is going to only add to it. So I think it's a crazy message, honestly. And you know, I saw like Stevie Wonder came out and said, you know, you talk about Black Lives Matter, but we're all out there killing ourselves. You know, black on black crime. Talking about that elephant in the room, and I think that can only come from a kind of elder statesman in the black community. I think a few of the prominent black celebrities have alluded to it. I think Morgan Freeman as well. So it's such a fucking tricky subject to handle. I don't even know where you begin tackling the behemoth that is race relations between police and the impoverished black communities in America. But certainly, segregation is definitely not the answer, and this is happening not just here, you know, not just in relations with the police. People are doing it on college campuses now. If we start segregating ourselves, it's a problem that's going to get worse. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, man. Like I said, there just needs to be more transparency between police and the black community. And it sucks too, man. And I was talking to one of my buddies who's on the SWAT team. He's a black guy, not too long ago, and we were just talking about how you could solve this problem with the black community not trusting police and just these poor communities that keep killing each other, because it's bad. It's the numbers are scary. And you know, you have dad. Dad sells dope because they're poor, and dad gets either taken to jail or dies. The son thinks it's okay to sell dope because his dad sells it, and so all the cousins sell it, and the mom's okay with it, and you have these families that all sell drugs, and they're getting put in prison. They're getting killed by other black people, and they won't let us come in and try and help them. And so we were talking about, well, what if we just make all drugs legal? I don't think that would work. And it just comes down to, you can't arrest an entire generation and then start over. It's just a continuing cycle of bullshit that we had to go through with the same families and just the same people. And I don't know what the answer to help the poor black communities like that would be, man. Do you buy this argument that there is a societal interest in the way that we handle policing because of the private prison complex in America? I mean, this seems to me to be going almost off the deep end and a little bit into conspiracy theory territory. But again, it doesn't mean that at its root, it's not a valid argument, because we don't have, or rather we didn't have, I think we're starting to get them in the UK now, but we don't have private prisons. The idea of a prison for profit is a fucking anathema to me. I can't even understand how that is allowed anywhere in the civilized world, but it's the norm in America, and you get a lot of even communities that are built around the privately owned prison. It's the sole employer. It's the bulk of the jobs, and if you don't have people if you don't have people that go into the system, into the prison, then you're making cutbacks. People are losing those jobs. Maybe you got to close the whole prison because without criminals, there's no need for them.
Yeah.
Do you buy any of that shit?
I mean, I never really looked much into the prison for profit thing when I was a police officer. You know, that's not what is on a police officer's mind when they're out there. And I've said this in my videos before. Like, you're not going out there trying to put money in someone's pocket who owns a prison. Yeah. And then, you know, I've heard people say there's like a trickle down theory where even though you think you're not arresting people for money, you really are. And I don't know, man. I don't really buy into that stuff. I think prisons for profit that's a little fucked up. But yeah, as an average police officer, you're not out there trying to put money in someone else's pocket.
I mean, because I know it's a different world, right? But I'm guessing, did you associate with any prison officers? I mean, do you have like kind of an insight into the recidivism problem? Because that's something that I think America has a real issue with as well. You know, it's not just that the prison system in America is perhaps privately owned or whatever. It doesn't seem to do anything with the people when they get there. You know, we always hear like, oh, this guy murdered 2 people for his gang, and now he's going out and you know, talking to school kids as if that's the fucking. Well, there you go. Prison works if you want to work at it, but generally the fucking recidivism for low sentenced people is pretty fucking high in the US. You compare it to somewhere with like Norway, where recidivism rates are incredibly low, because they actually do practice rehabilitative measures within their prison walls.
Yeah. I mean, I never really got into prisons that much at all, other than dropping people off at them. And I have I have a few friends who are prison guards. But yeah, I mean, I don't. It doesn't look like there's enough rehabilitation in the United States at a lot of places, because it is like a revolving door sometimes, man. And it kind of sucks, especially for violent offenders, just to be put right back out on the streets. But I don't know how you could rehabilitate them in the first place. I knew a guy, a Greenville police officer, Alan Jacobs. He got shot and killed by a dude, I think it was 2 years ago. And the guy was 18 years old, and he had committed armed robbery, and he was supposed to be in prison for 10 years. A judge felt bad for him and let him out after a year. And because he was out, he was able to shoot Alan Jacobs and kill him. And I think a lot of it comes down to not just the prisons, but, you know, with the judges. A lot of judges don't give harsh enough sentences. There's a lot of judges that just go too easy on people also, man. But as far as rehabilitation and stuff like that goes, yeah, I think there could be more of that.
Yeah, it's always been an interesting topic to me, because I don't know if you notice about me, but my dad is kind of like a lifer. He's, you know, I think I met him like a handful of times over the course of my life. The bulk of his life he spent in prison. I have no idea where he is now. I assume still in prison somewhere. But I got no interest. But I remember there was one time when he was out on parole, and he was supposed to be coming. He got out for like I think he'd done like it might have been an 8-year stint, because our sentencing's pretty crazy light compared to the US. So he cut someone's throat, but they didn't die. Yeah, nice dude. Nice dude. And he did like an 8-year stint for that, because they couldn't prove attempted murder.
Really?
Yeah. It was so he did like 8 years, and he got out on parole. He got out early, so he was meant to be coming to visit. I can't even remember. I was just a kid, so my memory's real hazy about this. But somewhere along the line, instead of coming home to see me and my mother, he had fallen in with some of the old guys.
Some shady friends.
Yeah, and he did like a job for them or something, which involved him beating someone almost to death with a claw hammer. So I remember we got this knock on the door, and I was like, "Oh, this will be Dad, right?" But it wasn't. It was like fucking 10 police officers, and they just tore through my fucking house, dude. Looking under. We know he's here. You know, he's definitely not. Like, I was just a kid. Like, I haven't seen my dad. Where is my dad? You should know. You're police. Yeah. You know, he's always talking to you, right? So where is he? and they completely fucking tore through. And anyway, he was on the lam for like, he was on the lam for like I don't know, like a few days before they caught him, and he went back. And I think at that point it was kind of like, he's probably not going to rehabilitate, right?
Yeah.
Like he had a choice. You get out early, you can come home, chill out with the family or whatever. He decided to go and commit more violent crime. I think he just liked it, honestly. Yeah. Although I have no insight into his personality because, like I said, I've never really met him. But I wondered what drives people to sort of become like that institutionally violent to the point where it's like, hey, you've done your time. You could have a regular life now, but you don't want that. Yeah. You would rather go and commit more crimes. Like I don't understand that mindset.
Hell, I don't either, man.
Yeah, but it seems crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I've met people like that too. They'll get out and then the next day, they'll be back to selling dope or beating up their wife or blah 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 blah, and they'll be put back in, and then some judge will let them out, a year or two later, and they'll do the same thing, be put back in, and yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, look, revolving door.
I'll kind of tie off the race thing. I just want to ask just a few more questions, and then we'll do something a little bit more upbeat, because I can feel the tone. Everyone in the chat's getting nervous. Like, holy shit, Rich is talking about it's all right. I'm fine. I'm not gonna get triggered by talking about my shit childhood. It's good. Everyone where I lived had that childhood. And Sam can testify to that. So anyway, just in terms of the kind of ways that we can tackle the race issue. I mean, because there's so many layers to it, right? Yeah. You've got the fact that you're already dealing with a poor neighborhood. And I always have believed that I think the problems are economic. I don't believe any of that race bullshit. People say, oh, it's like it's part of black culture. They listen to this music and it glamorizes selling drugs. Anybody who lives in grinding poverty will consider selling drugs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
And end of story. I don't need fucking an Ice Cube album, right? Like playing in the background to go, oh, yeah, you know what? Slinging Rock might be good today. If I got no fucking food on the table, I'm going to go and find a way to put fucking food on the table. And if that's drugs, then it's drugs. So I think, I think you've got that issue, the fact that drugs have been introduced into poor communities because that's where they thrive, because that's where the demand is. Or every drug is a cure for misery, right? Yeah, it's a cure for misery and a cure for boredom, which seem to be the preserves of the poor. Yep. So you're dealing with a rampant drug problem. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with grinding poverty, which ramps up that drug problem, and you're dealing with those two things simultaneously, which leads to the devaluation of human life. To the drug dealer, his customers are fiends and scumbags. You got no respect for the person you're selling to. Rivals want to take territory, so you got to defend it. You got to hold it. You got to be willing to do anything. Hey, if they die, fuck it. Better them than me. Yeah. And and then you're trying to police that by throwing, again, blue-collar guys on $30,000 fucking dollars a year. You're dropping them into what's effectively a fucking war zone if we're talking about places like Chicago. And everything, all the voices from the media are telling you, hey, these guys, they're the bad guys.
Exactly. So no one will talk to you and help you out with the situation. And, we always tell people, help me help you, but no one wants to help you help them. It sucks, man. It's a shit show. I don't know what we could do about it, but
do we need more black police officers? This gets put out there as a suggestion.
No, because they're just called coons and white man's property and stupid shit like that. The people in these neighborhoods look at them like they're traitors.
I think I saw Tariq Nasheed drop that one a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. If you're a black police officer, you're just like the white police officer. Everyone always chalks up to race, but like you said, it's more just poverty than anything, and everyone's against the police officer. It sucks, man.
Is that the experience of black police officers that you've talked to? That they become like distant and disconnected and disassociated from their own communities, their own backgrounds, sometimes even maybe their own families?
No, absolutely not. The black police officers that I worked with most of them grew up in the same neighborhoods that we were policing. And they would tell me about how they would go to family gatherings and they would be ridiculed and made fun of and talked down to. Because
that's what I mean. So there was this like disassociation.
Yeah, they weren't trying to distance themselves from their family.
Their
family was trying to distance
the other people.
Yeah. And they would be arresting their cousins and sometimes their brothers and stuff like that, friends and family members, and so they were looked at like the bad guys in some of these bad communities. Yeah,
that sucks, man. I mean, again, it's like I don't know what the fix is. It feels like we're in a very ingrained, entrenched problem in America that has gone on so cyclically for so long that it's going to take something radical to kind of break that cycle of what's happening, I don't know what it is. What I do know is nobody seems very interested. It's like, they say the money's in the medicine. It's not in the cure, and I got to wonder sometimes about when I see this systemic poverty, systemic crime, and a police system that can't effectively tackle it. And nobody wants to pay to fix that. But I got to wonder about, because people must be able to see what I can see. People must be able to see what a street cop can see. Mm-hmm. That, this is a fucking broken system. And people, I guess, did you ever feel, it's kind of a tough question. Like, were you ever worried about, because, they say people can't be racist towards white people, right? But you're a white officer in and I don't believe that, but you're a white officer in a predominantly black neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the average person in that neighborhood is just a law-abiding citizen, who doesn't want to catch one walking to the bus, mm-hmm. right? But to the people you're interacting with, did you ever feel that because you were white, you were more at risk?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I certainly know racism does exist and it can be used towards white people. I was called Whitey, Cracker, Casper, Ghost Boy, all that crazy shit. And I don't know, maybe just because I'm white, it doesn't mean I thought I was in more danger, because anyone that wears a uniform's in an equal amount of danger, because, even the black officers, they would say they're traitors, race traitors and coons and all that stupid shit. But yeah, I'll tell you a story, though. One time, have you heard of National Night Out that they have here in the United States? It's like a day they have every year. It's National Night Out, where like police departments and firefighters and stuff like that, you'll get together with these poor communities and you'll have like a big festival. You'll have jumpy houses, blow up houses, and slides and all this cool shit. And you'll have a barbecue and you'll give everyone free food. And so we would have these in these poor communities every year. And one year I was working at one of them, and you go around, you laugh, you smile, you make jokes with the kids, and this little girl, she's probably like 3 or 4 years old, little black girl came up to me, and I'm joking with her. I'm making faces at her, and we're laughing. And that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to bring police officers closer with these poor communities. And her mom comes up and snatches her up by the wrist and says, "We don't talk to those people." I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?" She was like, "Well, you're one of the police. We don't talk to you people," and just took her off. And like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was filing a report helping this woman out, the mom, because her baby daddy had beat the hell out of her and she didn't want to press charges on him. So, I mean, it sucks when you really want to help people, but they won't let you help them. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing as well. You see all these videos, and it's always, it'll be like some fat cop, and he'll be, really good at 3-point basketball, and he'll be playing with like some little kids in a neighborhood, and he'll be like dropping 3-pointers and hanging out and just playing basketball with them all day. And then the comments underneath always be, "Oh, what a great cop. Faith in humanity restored." This shit, right? There was one the other day I saw. It was on the front page of Reddit. Black police officer, police in Skid Row in LA, which, Jesus fucking Christ, no one deserves to be assigned that. And this guy's done it for like 20 years or something, knows the name of every crackhead and hopper from fucking, point one of the street to right to the other end. Even to the point where he knows the tents and what's going on in every tent, right? Mm-hmm. And he was, just a regular guy, just normal. What I expect of a police officer didn't like shock me at all. And underneath, everyone was like, wow, if only we had more police officers like this. It's like, that's the average cop. Yeah, that is the average cop. That is what they do. The only reason they don't always get to do shit like that, the only reason they're not out there dropping 3-pointers is because they got to be in the fucking station doing some other bullshit, because there's just too much crime for too few officers to be dealing with realistically. Exactly. And it just blows my mind all the time that it's like people don't understand that it's like this here is how it should be and how it is. That's the intent of every police officer. I'm sure we'd all like to be shooting hoops, work in the same community for 25 years to the point where you know everything that's going on so you can actually police effectively. Yeah. I'm sure that's the dream, right?
Absolutely.
It's the system that fucks it up. And then you see like one video of like some bad fucking shooting by some fucking nerdy fucking asshole, who probably shouldn't have been on the fucking front lines and given a firearm, shitting his pants at the first sign of trouble and emptying a fucking clip into some guy who's running away. And they go, police are at it again.
Police are out of control.
he's not the average. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why people can't grasp that.
I don't know, man. Because the media spoon feeds them. Police are bad every single day, and there's over 700,000 sworn police officers in the United States, and you're gonna have that one guy that does some stupid shit. But I don't understand. I don't understand it either, man. How people can be like, well, the police are absolutely out of control. Look at this one incident out of the 60 million contacts police come with people every day. I don't know, man. The media just keeps this thing up, the mainstream media, that police are the bad guys and they're out of control. They're going around shooting black males, and that's all they do.
One final question, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. Why? Right. This is what always annoys me. This is what always fucking annoys me when I see these police officers. Okay, you pulled up a guy. You may be a little bit jumpy or a little bit suspicious. He's up to something. So you're already kind of primed and a bit ready. And then the guy is being, maybe he's not reacting to instruction. And he's rummaging around where he shouldn't be because you've told him to keep his hands where you can see them. Why not? If or maybe even he starts running, right? And he just takes off. Yeah. I've always thought to myself, and this might be my ignorance here, but why not just let the guy go? Because the guy isn't James Bond, right? Like, he doesn't have 6 passports in a safe with 10 different types of currency, right? You're going to pick him up. He's going to go right back to his house, which you've already probably got on file because he's probably been picked up before, right? So you're going to find this guy in a few hours anyway. So why draw and shoot?
Yeah. I mean, I really haven't seen that many instances where unarmed people running away were shot. But if they're armed and they're running away, then there's a possibility that they could hurt someone else in the public. There's a possibility, they could take someone hostage out there. But as far as unarmed people running away, getting shot, yeah, that's fucked up. They had the one in Charlotte where the police officer did that. You remember that? He tased the guy in the back, and the guy ran, and he just fucking put like 5 shots in his back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, though. It was like, it wasn't one.
Yeah, that was screwed up. And that's one of those guys we were talking about that probably shouldn't have ever been a police officer in the first place.
Yeah. It's just so, I'm all about that, right? Like, I think, unless this guy is fucking super spy, right? And he's like going to be able to hit Jason fucking Bourne, and he's going to be able to go to fucking Israel under an assumed name. Like, it's probably not pressing that you fucking get into a life or death situation, start turning a fucking street into the OK Corral when you just, just let him fucking walk and pick him up 2 hours later with a armed response team if necessary and a bit more control over the situation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if they're armed, you really just don't want them to get out and cause more trouble before you do find them. Because if they go and they know they're caught now and they go shoot up their family and kill their kids and their wife because they know they're going to prison, and that's on you because you didn't catch them. But as far as shooting an unarmed man in the back, that's pretty fucked up, man. That whole thing was messed up.
So let's talk about your YouTube channel. It's cheerier, a much cheerier topic. We're gonna go probably a bit heavier again before the end. So the way I've structured it's like that, like a sine wave or something.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna go back to the happy land. I like your YouTube channel. I do watch your videos because I think it's quite an interesting take. Like you're doing something I haven't seen anyone else do. With the caveat that you're actually equipped to do it, Sure, you see people breaking down like arrest videos or CCTV footage, but they're usually just some dude like me, right? Like going, and this is completely outrageous. Look at this. And like, they don't know anything about police procedure or context or anything like that. But obviously, having a police officer break down these arrest videos is fucking great, and you pick some fucking hilarious shit. You like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I shouldn't laugh at it. Like, some of it is so fucking. I know I shouldn't laugh, but the one with the fucking guy who gets tased through a window.
Oh, the zombie man.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah,
in fact, Sam, you don't mind if we play a little bit of that, do you, on the thing?
No, man. Go ahead.
We'll play it without sound, but we'll keep talking. But Sam, if you can just bring up the bit where this guy gets tased through a fucking window. Thanks. It's just like I was howling with laughter at that because he just goes so rigid from the taser, and like there's a guy in the background filming it, and it just shows, man, these neighborhoods, everyone's seen some shit. This is a guy trying to bite a police officer, acting like a zombie, getting tased through a window, and the guy goes, ooh. Like that. Like it's just another day, just another fucking day. Dude. So I love your YouTube content for that. So just tell me how you sort of come up with the idea to kind of start doing this stuff.
Man, I started the YouTube channel just to do some gaming stuff, like a little bit over a year ago when I was still a police officer. I've always wanted to have some kind of gaming channel, and I started doing the gaming, and it was picking up pretty good. The picture went viral of me with a kitty cat on my shoulder, and then Lex Phantom Hive, the CS:GO player, he gave me a bunch of Asimov skins for that, and his video kind of started pushing people to my channel. And I forgot which video I did first, but there was a video of a shooting, and I was like, no, that's fucked up. That's not what happened, because everyone had it wrong. Mm-hmm. And so, I went through and I talked about it, and that video got more views than any of my other videos combined. And so I just kept up with that formula, and people love it, man.
Yeah, and how do you come across this stuff? Because it's like me and you are talking about stuff that even happened in the UK, and you're like, oh, yeah, I saw that. So what's the system of getting this content, dude?
People send it to me now, man. At first, I had to seek it out. Like, there's a really good channel called Police Activity. They get like all the latest police videos right there, and there's Breaking 911. That's a good source. And it's. Yeah, but now people just send me the shit, and they're like, Donut, do this one. And they're awesome videos. And it's like the latest videos. People just want me to talk about their video. So,
sorry, I'm just laughing at this guy. Why am I laughing at a guy getting tased through a window? It could have ended. No, but it could have ended so bad, dude, with the glass. That could have ended so bad, man. I just watched fucking Fargo, and no spoilers, but someone gets a shot of glass in their fucking neck in that. And trust me, you don't want that shit to happen to you. But yeah, so I mean, so what are you looking to do? Because I'm in a similar quandary to you, I imagine, in the sense that I'm a guy who's known for like esports, right? And I won't hide anything. Like, I always had kind of aspirations to do something a little bit more important, but like year after year, the scene got bigger and bigger, and there was more and more money in it, and it was easier and easier to get work. So it's like, why would I go and start at the bottom of like something else? So I stayed in, right? But now it's like, I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, I've taken esports to TV. Like, I've done my time. Like, I'm at the pinnacle. I love this job I've got, but I don't want all of my content to be about it anymore. So I started doing like a political podcast, and Not everyone likes it. Not everybody who likes my Counter-Strike stuff likes me talking about how the media give Donald Trump a hard time. And pointing out their bullshit, right? Not everybody likes that. But I'm trying to straddle both worlds and hope that I can bring my audience together with my winning personality. So what about you? Because I look at your videos. The stuff I really like isn't necessarily you playing games or whatever. I really like breaking down police arrest videos with snarky comments and sometimes real harrowing fucking stuff or heavy stuff, and you giving a nuanced police perspective on it. That's what I like. But do you find that because some people want to just kind of watch you play or whatever, you're trying to juggle?
Yeah. It's the same thing with you, man, between you doing the political commentary and then doing all the CSGO stuff and the sportscasting and things like that. It's the same with me, man. I'll make one of my police videos and you'll have people in the comments going, play a game. I'll make a gaming video and then I'll have a ton of the people that like the police stuff being like, why are you playing video games? You're supposed to be doing this shit. Yeah. And I try to balance it out as much as possible, but there's more people that want to see the police stuff. So that's usually what I do. It's just that stuff is so freaking time consuming, over just jumping on and streaming some video games. It just takes forever to edit, but I love it, man. And I love that people like it so much.
What about in terms of, monetization? Because I know any controversial shit on YouTube is a fucking nightmare these days, dude. Like we got stung pretty hard. We're just kind of slowly climbing. So the first month the YouTube money got took down for extremist content. We lost 90% of our revenue, just gone. Right? Yeah. Now we're at about 35-40% of where we were. Mm-hmm. And Sam thinks that might be because we've changed some of the tags. Like, just simple as that.
So before, I used to put in tags like CNN, fake news, like Huffington Post, stuff like that. And then I took all the political kind of tags out, and then suddenly the money would doubled instantly.
Wow. So we know it's kind of tough. So are you do you make okay money off that sort of thing, or is that more kind of you're hoping that it's gonna increase?
Yeah, I mean, I make okay money off of it. I just hit 63,000 subs, and I can definitely see the difference from when I first started and when all that all that crap went down with YouTube demonetizing everybody's stuff, and I can definitely see where it decreased there for the last month or two. And I make okay money at it, man. Like I said, I combine now. I've got some other projects. I write for some police news blogs. I write for Blue Lives Matter. I write for one called Badge Cameras. I manage their Facebook profiles and all that stuff. So I got other projects going on, and I really, really want to grow the YouTube channel, though. I would love to do that as my primary source of income one day.
What do you think you would need to do for that to happen then? I mean, what would be the next kind of, kind of step? Because it is quite niche what you do, right? Mm-hmm. So
I'd like to. I'd like, dude. Honestly, I don't have a camera. I'd love to get a camera. And do you watch Live PD? Do you ever watch that?
No.
Oh, that show is freaking awesome, man. It's where they go around with police officers live, and it's like Cops, but it's live.
I used to watch Cops when I was younger.
Yeah, it's like the new Cops.
Oh, right, okay. I'll probably check it out. The problem Cops had is it was always just two guys. Oh, they're pulling up to a trailer park. Yeah. So it's the guy in the white vest, the fucking Federline lookalike. Fucking been drinking a fucking 40 of fucking malt liquor, smacking the wife around. But you don't. She pushes my buttons. You don't. Okay, am I watching this show again?
Yeah, Live PD is a lot more intense than that, and it's I think it's on A&E, and it's a really, really good freaking show, man. I would love to do that kind of stuff, go around the different departments, ride with officers, actually tape all this stuff happening in real time. I think that would be cool for the channel, but I gotta get a camera first. I think that's my next step, is actually getting a decent camera. And until then, I'm just going to continue. I'm always going to do the type of stuff I'm doing now, where I take police incidents and break them down and call people fucking idiots and things like that, because that's a lot of fun, man. I'm big on the public shaming. I think that should be brought back. That would solve a lot of problems.
Well, they put people in stocks and have the town come.
I don't know about stocks, but like every night on the news in your area, play what someone did, and play a video of their security footage of it and list their crimes and things like that, I think people would stop shoplifting and committing a lot of crimes, petty crimes really quick.
You see, this is what you could do, because I don't think it's on TV anymore. But you must remember America's Dumbest Criminals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I mean, I am ashamed to admit I used to watch that, because I know it's garbage. Obviously, it's like eating a fucking. Hang on, I won't name any specific fast food outlet just in case they sponsor anything. But it's like it's like when you eat fast food. It ain't great. You're better off going home and cooking a meal. But it's there, and it does kind of taste good. So fuck it, I'm in. Actually, this is pretty good right now. I'm definitely in. And then I'm gonna feel remorseful about it in 30-40 minutes when it's done. But I used to watch that America's Dumbest Criminals. I used to be fascinated by it. Like some of the fucking shit, dude. It just goes to show again the lack of education that some of these people have. Like, people like I saw one where a bank teller tricked a bank robber into writing his name and bank account down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like she said to him like, "Oh, well, we can't give you the money, but we can transfer it into your account." And this guy went, "Okay, here's my name." And still with the gun though, Yeah. Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, what the fuck is this? So maybe that's something you could do. Maybe
that would be awesome, man.
Bring it back.
I would like to like the Tosh.0 of police videos. I would like to do something like that. That would be pretty cool. Where I can actually bring the criminals in or go talk to them, be like, "What the fuck was going through your head, man? What did you do?" So if I could do something like that, that would be pretty rad. Because I don't think they have the Dumbest Criminals stuff on anymore. But hey, if anyone out there needs a host for something like that, here you go. Richard Lewis said it.
Yeah, I'll put in a word for you. I'll ask around the TV studio when I'm in. I'll be like, "Are we making any America's Dumbest Crime shows? Are we doing that?" Because I got the guy. No, he's not a criminal. No. I mean, like, I got the host. He'll be good.
Don't worry, he won't say fuck so much.
yeah. Maybe. Well, but look, so you said you write for Blue Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. Did you see that story? It was on Fox. It was in Jacksonville, I think. Where somebody, I got it here. Jacksonville. Somebody had a Blue Lives Matter flag in their front yard, and they had to remove it because the homeowners association said it was racist.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
I heard about it. I didn't read into it very much. Yeah. I think that's.
That's pretty much
stupid.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying that there was a perception that, because it was a play on words of black. Again, it comes back to the almost like all lives matter thing. But this was really strange to me, because this is saying that police lives matter. This is like saluting the troops. This is whatever you believe, right? Okay, whatever you believe in society. Like maybe you hate police officers. Maybe you're indifferent to police officers. Maybe you're a proper patriot, a real flag sucker, and you fucking believe that they're out there risking their lives to keep you safe, and you believe the full, I wouldn't say it's completely unrealistic, but the romanticized version, right, of real life. There's a spectrum there, but in no way is showing your appreciation for the police, whatever you personally believe. How do you get to interpreting that as racist? Do you know what I mean? Like, what even is the fucking process?
People look for things to be racist. That's what that is.
That's just so wild to me. Were you ever worried about, like, oh yeah, I write for Blue Lives Matter, because were you worried that people might put that shit on you and say, oh well, you're a racist? I mean, you've already got 1 foot over that line, right? You're police officers, so
yeah,
But I mean, like, oh, I actually wrote for the Blue Lives Matter thing. Has anyone ever made that allegation?
Yeah, lots of people. I get tweets all the time when about how I'm a racist just because I do that. I've been called a racist so many times, dude. I don't even give a shit anymore. And when I did that AMA last year, did the whole SWAT team AMA. I think it was called I Am a Streamer who's on the SWAT team. Ask Me Anything. It's still up there. When I went through and did that, I was getting death threats from people on there, man. People saying they were going to cut my kids' heads off and things like that. People calling me a racist, all that shit, dude. So my inbox is full of people calling me racist. Now I like to take screenshots of them and put them on my Twitter every once in a while.
Yeah, I like to do that. Always retweet the hate. That's the shaming tactic, right? That's why I do it.
Yeah. And the my inbox on YouTube, the spam folder where it takes all the hateful messages and all the spam and shit, it's filled with like 6,000 I haven't even read. So I rarely even read my YouTube comments anymore, just my regular comments that aren't taken into the spam folder, just because there's still people in there that are being shitty.
I mean, here's the thing. You said you don't give a shit. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it still bothers me. It still bothers me. I fucking hate being called a racist, because it's like, you know what, when you know the full expanse of your life and your experience, and I'm always being told that experience is something that we should listen to, that you've got no right to say to somebody your experiences don't count, that your experience, your story is as good as any scientific data that's out there.
Yeah.
So when people call me a fucking racist or a white supremacist or whatever the fucking, or a Nazi, whatever the buzzword that week for racist is, it like enrages me like nothing, dude. I can't, I can never be okay with it. Like, I don't even know if I could ever get to a point where that wouldn't fucking annoy me anymore, you know? I guess I haven't done the line of work you've done. Yeah, which maybe makes a difference, but
I mean, it's more of I'm numb to it than I just don't give a shit. Because I mean, my first week of policing, I was already done with it. You get called a racist every day by a lot of people, and 3 years of that, and then moving into the whole writing for police news blogs and things like that. It's just I'm numb to it now, man. And I know I'm not a racist. like you said, I know my experiences, and I'm not a racist, but I'm just numb to it now.
That's just so fucking crazy, dude. I can't believe it, man. Like, that people are out there, especially as well. Like, you're like a fucking gamer now, right? And like, I say this all the fucking time, and I get told I'm wrong, and I know I'm not, because I've been a gamer. Like, the one thing that's been consistent my entire life is gaming. I had the old computers that like people wouldn't even believe they were real. Loading fucking games off cassette tapes. People don't realize we lived like that.
Yeah.
And I've had them all, and I've been a gamer all my life, and I'll be a gamer when I'm a fucking. Well, I'm not gonna be a little old man. I'll probably die in my 50s, but I just come on, let's be real. I'm all right with it again. That's still a good innings. So I know it's one of the most welcoming and inclusive groups. We welcome everybody. Shit, man, you can even make shit up about yourself and we'll be all right with it. We don't give a fuck. We don't care about race. We don't care about gender. We don't care about sexuality. Like, you can't take the average fucking kid who's had a bad day at school because he had his lunch money took off him, coming home and calling you the N-word on a fucking Minecraft server. You can't take him as the benchmark for what gaming is. Yeah. Because that ain't what it is. And they always try and fucking say that, we've got to be more. I don't understand how you can be more inclusive than what gaming presents. It lets you come online, you can connect with people from all over the world. Now there isn't even that class divide that there used to be, because everybody's got a computer. Everyone's got access to the internet. Some countries are now even saying it's a human right. So we can all come together. We can be who the fuck we want. We only need to reveal about ourselves whatever the fuck we want to reveal. We can find like-minded people, similar groups. Like everyone who thought they were weird in the isolation of the pre-internet era now knows there's another fucking 100 freaky motherfuckers just like you. Yep. And they got a Discord now, and you can go and hang out and talk about how you like to dress up as cartoon ponies or whatever the fuck. And yet again, I hear how we're all, again, gamers, we're racist, we're misogynist. It drives me fucking crazy, dude. It really does. So, I mean, this must be at least a welcome change, right? I mean, you must hear it less in gaming than you did as a police officer, I hope.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, as I said, I still write for all these pro-police, publications, but within the gaming, yeah, there is less hate. And it's a nice change.
So what kind of games are you playing right now at the moment? I guess obviously because you're a police officer, everyone wants you to be like, oh, there's this new fucking SWAT game, so you got to play that, right? Because you used to be on the SWAT team.
Yeah. Right now, man, I have been completely obsessed with Battlegrounds, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I cannot stop playing that game. And there you can use some like real world tactics in that game, like clearing houses, because you have to clear a house like every few seconds in that game, and if you don't check your corners, you're fucked. And the only thing that I don't like about it that's not real world is when you open a door, the door stays in like a 90-degree position. You can't swing the door open, because in a real world scenario, if you're coming in a room hot and you need to get out of the doorway, you're going to ride that door into the wall in case someone's hiding behind it and break their face in the process. You're going to feel something squishy, and you're going to know that there's no one behind the door. But in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that damn door stays right there, dude, and that drives me crazy. You got to do that extra look behind the door and then clear the room.
See, I didn't like it to begin with. People who watch this stream will know that me and Sam didn't like it to begin with. Really? We used to H1Z1. We pumped in like over 100 hours, and there was and the thing is, it wasn't just a slower pace of game, but like it was so badly optimized when it first came out. I mean, I bought it on when it went on general release, and we streamed it. We streamed like 10 hours, and me and Sam were just like, I mean, Sam's a fucking terrible driver.
As if you can't blame me with the physics in that game, mate. Any hill's a death trap in that shit. Any little bump or pebble could be the end.
Yeah, but come on, mate. You're still always holding down turbo. Like, it's not like you ever
go fast, mate.
There you go.
I want to go fast.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is the problem we got, right? So we were fucking tearing around in this. I didn't realize that it was meant to be in some like shit Eastern Europe. So all the cars were ghetto as fuck. You know, it was like some bombed out satellite state that wished, you know, it didn't even want independence anymore. They're like where Battlegrounds is set. It's like, please take us back, Russia, please. Like, this is worse. So the first time we got into a fucking Dacia, you know, and
4-door car.
Yeah, and people were like messaging me going, "That's the best car in the game," and they're not wrong. But Sam's trying to fucking go like just do a basic turn in the road at top speed, and it's flipping over 50 times. There's blood on my screen like I'm playing fucking Call of Duty. I'm like, fuck this game. Fuck this stupid shit game. And I went back to playing H1Z1. But then they optimized it so you can land in towns now and your FPS doesn't drop to like 5. Yep. And then anyway, long story short, like it's grown on me, dude. Like it really fucking has. And I uninstalled H1Z1 today because I just know I'm never going to play it again. Pub is the superior game.
Same here, man. I played H1Z1 hardcore for a month when people were telling me to play it. I finally played it. I loved it. Loved H1Z1. And then I got into the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds beta. And even when it wasn't optimized, I was like, hey, there's something about this game. And the devs, man, they care so much about the community. They're putting, you know, new games in new weapons in like once a month. They're listening to people. They're responding to people on Twitter. They're they're about to add zombies. They're about to add vaulting. You can vault through windows. You can climb.
Have that. They need that. If I keep getting stuck on those little fucking walls, like trying to do a run and jump on them, dude, I'm gonna flip out. But yeah, you know, look, I'll be honest. I said the same thing when all the H1Z1 streamers said they were going across the pub. I was like, oh, they're just flexing because they want Daybreak to give them like more money or more influence or whatever it is. And I think there was an element of that. But Pub just fucking killed H1Z1, dude. I'd say it's over. It's just over. Like, what is the reason to go back and play that game now? There just isn't any I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 decent guns in there, the AK and the M16, and that's it. And PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is just they're adding more and more weapons, dude, and attachments. Oh god, I love the attachments. That's something that King of the Kill definitely doesn't have. I
mean, the one thing I will say, like, I'd like them to come up with maybe like some different kind of modes, because obviously I'm always thinking about esports, right? So the battleground potential in esports is there. Like it definitely is there. Obviously they broadcast some, before, but people are tuned in. But I'm talking about putting it on TV type. I know what a TV audience is looking for now that I've worked at TV for a year. And what I really want is them to make kind of smaller maps, like have an esports map, right? So it's a lot smaller, a lot easier to get into combat situations. Cars become less of less necessary, if you like. Still a decent size, so there's room for sniping, position matters, getting the high ground. But I like to see them design like almost like an esports map with fewer people as well. Because this is one of the other issues you've got, like dropping 100 people in and a bunch of people getting capped real quick. I don't even know how that would work on TV, or how it would work in a competition. For example, like let's say you're the guy and you just get a bad spawn and you land. And everyone's like really wanting to see you do well on this like broadcast he's dead straight away. His parachute got caught in a fucking tree. He had to cut himself loose. He didn't get to a gun quick enough, and he actually got Superman punched to death. So I definitely like them to do these to do that, to make some changes. And I'd also like to see a mode where it's like two groups of like 40 people. Like almost like Battlefield type, but in the pub setting. I think that'd be fucking great.
That would be pretty cool. They have the custom matches. Some of the big streamers, they can set them up like that. The developers have given some of these big streamers and big YouTubers the ability to set up custom matches. And who was it? I think it was what's his name? Doom49, I think is his name. The big YouTuber. He's been doing those games where it's like 40 on 40 people.
Oh,
it's pretty cool. And some of them they're given the ability to add zombies. So they're working real hard at and listening to people and actually trying to put these custom modes into the games. But I agree with you. That would be cool to have like a little esports arena, just like one little city and two squads face off against each other. Not dropped in, but they start off with their gear and everything and just go against each other. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, like even if you had like I don't know a set amount of points. Like in each gear was rated, so you could choose like a loadout when you drop into the game. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that'd be good because obviously what you would need to think about is I still think the sniper, the 8x scope on a single bolt action rifle in pub is like really overpowered, or that generally tends to be how I die. You get to the top 10. Oh, circle shrank, right? Don't want to get hit by that blue wave that just fucking absolutely wrecks you. So I'm just going to take one step out this doorway, and it's like the end of fucking Night of the Living Dead. Just one straight to the dome from nowhere. You don't even see it coming. And that tends to be how I die. So but if everybody had that, it wouldn't be viable. Like the one guy who picked the fucking automatic rifle and just be running around fucking capping people left, right, and center. So I think having like a loadout and teams, and you could pick like what you want, land in, do the squad battles that way. I think that'd be awesome. I really do, and I can see the potential there. It's crazy to think the only reason we have these games is because DayZ failed as a zombie game.
Yeah, right.
Like that's literally how we get here.
Yeah, dude. Something else I wish they would add too, though. Is like, not everyone has friends that they can play with on there, is add a shooting range where you just have random bots running around, and you can pick whatever weapon you want and just practice your shooting skills. Because you really, if you're not good at the game or you just started, you really don't get that many chances to shoot at somebody. So, just have kind of a shooting range set up where you can kind of develop your skills.
It's surprisingly popular, I got to say as well, because when Dr. Disrespect, I'm a big fan of the Doctor. Oh yeah. I'm trying to get him to come on the podcast. I keep hitting him up, but it's problematic because obviously he's a character. Yeah.
What do you think of his mustache?
Compared to yours?
Yeah. We'll compare the two.
Yeah. Or I mean, like, I like his mustache, but we used to call them the flavor savers. I don't know if you ever heard that before, but
about or womb broom.
Yeah. Right. So yours is definitely. You look like that right now. You look a bit like that motherfucker from Parks and Recreation, like his salad days. Yeah. So I mean, that's a good full mustache, dude.
Thank you. I keep hitting him up on Twitter, Dr. Disrespect. He'll say something like, "Oh, I lost this game," and I'll be like, "It's because you have a bad mustache." And I've been trying to get him to respond to me, but he won't respond to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think. I like yours. It's there. It's natural. You see, you don't even have the gap. I think Dr. Disrespect's got a little bit of what happens with me. It kind of thins out here with my little bit. So yeah, I think your mustache wins. But so I was watching the Doctor play when it kind of first came out, and it was like because it's a slower paced game. It kind of felt really sedentary and a bit boring to watch. But now, dude, like the numbers, it's like the top game on Twitch.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the Steam Summer Sale just started, and you have everything on the top sellers list is on sale except Battlegrounds. It's number 2, and it's not even on sale. Yeah, so it's on top of like all these hundreds of games, awesome games that are on sale, and it's not even on sale.
Mm-hmm. It's really crazy. I think it's gonna be a big game. It's got a big future. I was really dismissive when it first came out because it just wasn't optimized right. The car physics were fucking garbage. And like I say, me and Sam were kind of just running around and lagging, and it just didn't feel good. But now it's like it actually feels like a really just it's getting better. They did that big like 1.5 gig patch the other day, and that like made it feel even better again. So I think it's going to be huge. And they just announced that they sold 4 fucking million copies.
Wow, damn!
I mean that's that big. That's a big deal. I know about how important having an organic player base is to developer buy-in, like for the money to be there to justify them continually updating and developing a game. But also, again, if you want to grow that esports base and that's something you want to go into, well, you got to have a huge, think about it like a pyramid. You got to have a huge base of players down here to even pick enough people who would be interested in a competitive mode or a ranked mode. And then you pick people from there to like watch it. And it whittles down until you get the hardcore elite pro players at the top, right? So the bigger the base, the more successful it generally tends to be. So 4 million at this stage, I mean, shit, it's still in development.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. It really is.
It is. It's going to be a huge game, man. I'm looking forward to it.
So you playing that? You playing anything else? Please tell me you don't play Overwatch.
No, I don't play Overwatch. I've tried it a few times. I really don't play it that much, though.
I don't get it, dude. I'll be honest. I don't get it. I tried. Sam told me it was fun.
Yeah, I tried too, man. I gave it a try for a few weeks, and I really couldn't get into it either, man. I went back to CS:GO.
It was just because I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2. I used to be on a competitive Team Fortress 2 team way back when. So I was like, okay, well, I like class-based shooters. This could be dull as fucking ditchwad. I've literally never been so bored playing a game. I mean, really. Yeah. Like, I'm playing a game and I'm just... Okay, right. So now everyone's ultimate's up. Okay, so we're going to try and combine them. Okay. All right. Okay, that didn't work. Right. Okay, well, guess we just don't die for a little bit and wait for them to come up again. It's like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like, this is like so, like, not in, it should feel intense, right?
Yeah.
That's why I never even get, like, when I'm seeing these Overwatch players, like, fucking raging, I'm like, dude, do you want to come play a real fucking game? It'll blow your fucking mind. Try Counter-Strike, motherfucker, when you're getting headshot by guys who aren't even on your fucking screen because of interp. And deal with that shit, But yeah, it's just dull. It's really fucking dull.
Yeah, I don't like it that much.
So let's just go back to something topical. Because I did say we were going to talk about it. So there was a shooting recently, a police shooting, that's really kind of stirred up the fucking hornet's nest again. And I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. So we can't show the video on Twitch. But yeah, this is Phando Castile, who was stopped at just what appeared to be a routine traffic stop. And he was high on marijuana, which I hate saying it like that because that makes it sound like weed is like, super bad or whatever. Obviously it's not, but he was high. He'd been smoking some weed and was a bit slow to respond to the police officer's instructions. And the police the officer Geronimo Yanez, I believe, is the name. Shot and killed the guy, and I mean, it sounded like he emptied his clip into him.
It was 7 times.
Yeah. So I obviously now people consider me conservative or right wing, which isn't accurate about my politics at all. Like I still think I'm left leaning. but I also like to operate from a viewpoint of like common sense. This one felt so fucking wrong to me. But I looked at like what my conservative colleagues and peers were saying on social media, and a lot of them were going, "You hear the police officer say he's got to put his hands up and stop rummaging around, and he didn't do that, so this is a good shoot." And obviously, the officer got completely exonerated by a jury. There was a trial. He was found not guilty. I believe 10-12 majority verdict. It wasn't unanimous, I think.
No, I think it was unanimous.
Oh,
There was two of them that were holding out, but then in the end it became unanimous.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I forget, because the way we do it in the UK is sometimes you don't need unanimous juries anymore. I don't know if that's the same in the US. It doesn't always have to be unanimous. But yeah, so they were all saying that the conservatives were saying that this is like a good shoot. And when I saw the video that was released, I was fucking horrified. I was horrified for real. So what? Give me a take on this, because this seems to me to be like one of the worst ones I've seen in a good while.
Yeah. There's a little bit more to the story also. Officer Yanez, a few days before that, had responded to a robbery at a convenience store where a black male with dreadlocks had a gun. And I just made a video about this today, about the shooting.
Oh, cool. I'll check it out after this.
Yeah. And so Yanez pulled him over because he wanted to check his ID and see who this guy was, because he thought he looked like the guy in the robbery that happened a few days before, an armed robbery. The guy in the security footage at the convenience store had a gun, was pointed at the clerk and everything. And I mean, everything was right. I mean, everything was good. He wanted to stop him. He wanted to check him out, see who he was. He walked up. Castile was right in saying, "Hey, officer, I do have a gun." And then I think because he might have been high, his reactions were a little delayed, and the officers telling him, "Don't reach for it, don't reach for it, don't reach for it." And Castile was trying to reach for his wallet, and it's a shitty situation, man. The officer, I think he fully thought that he was in fear for his life from his perspective. But he was jumpy about it, man. And that's where the whole training thing comes in. You were asking me earlier what I would change about police departments and stuff like that is more training. I mean, prior to being a police officer, I had some intense close quarters combat training, and I'm good at that kind of stuff. But this officer, you can tell he was spooked too, man. Yeah. And I'm not gonna, I'm not defending him, but I'm just saying you can tell he was spooked. Like, this isn't a situation that he gets into very much. And yeah, if I could change anything about policing, it would be, more fighting, more grappling, more CQB, more beating the shit out of each other, just so you can get used to being in high stress situations and things don't move so fast in the moment. But I mean, Castile, I think everything's just fucked up in that situation, man. Castile could have put his hands on the steering wheel like they teach in some of the concealed carry classes. The officer couldn't have been so spooked. He could have drawn down on him and told him not to put his hands on, put his hands down. There were a lot of things that could have been done differently, man.
I mean, I think the key thing is, like, some of the testimony from the officers, like, really concerning to me. Like, he said, I don't know if you included this in the video, so apologies from going over stuff that you've already brought up. But he said that because the individual was smoking marijuana in front of his baby that was in the car, he believed that he had low regard for human life, and therefore his own life was in danger.
Yeah, I saw. I
mean, that's such a fucked up rationale. Like, I'd be ashamed. Like, if my own defense lawyer told me that was the best way to go, I'd be like, "There's no way I can put my name to something that absurd." Yeah, well, because you smoke a bit of reefer in front of your daughter, and then it's like, what? I'm so concerned about that. I'm gonna put 7 bullets near a child.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound like something his defense attorney probably did tell him to say just to help him, but in the end, it looks like it hurt him more than helped him. But he was let off. One of his testimonies he gave, he talks about how he was trying to shoot downward because there were people in the car and he just wanted to hit Castile. But still, the whole situation, man, it's such a shitty grouping of bad circumstances that came together all at one time. He was spooked. He thought he was a robbery suspect. Castile might have been high. He reached for it. Officer told him not to reach for it. So I think everyone kind of kind of did a little bit something they weren't supposed to. And it's just that situation, dude. That's just one of those I was talking about. You can't judge all police officers off of one situation like that.
No, for sure. And I don't think it's an indictment on policing in America. I think some of the things that have come out in the aftermath of the trial make it really fucking hard to empathize with the officer. And again, you know, I'm like yourself. I try and look at it objectively, but you know, for me, I'm like, if I'm on that jury, there's no way in good conscience I can say not guilty. There's no fucking way. I couldn't have lived with myself, because it's a situation where I'm looking at all the outs. I'm looking at all, like, you know, does anyone have to die at this point? No. It's still no. And it's like, you can get off the fucking carousel here. And it just doesn't happen like that. It's just like some deranged fucking collision course between a high, therefore slow individual and a jumpy, jittery police officer. You know, there's an argument to say the guy should never have been pulled over in the fucking first place. Like it's some mad cosmic karmic fuck up. You know, he just happened to look a little bit like another guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. That was a real tough one for me. Like,
yeah.
And then, like I say, the stuff in the aftermath. There's some, like, the photo of him having a Police Lives Matter bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good look. It's in a photo where he's still got the bloodied insurance card of the deceased in the shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, does you got to have the wherewithal to take that off. I mean, that's a fucking powder keg in and of itself, right?
Yeah. Dude, that whole situation, man, it's screwed up. I don't know what to make of it either, because I can see where Yanez is coming from. I can see where everyone that's pissed off is coming from, and that's crazy.
It surprised me actually, because Ben Shapiro, who I'm sure you know, he actually came out and said after watching that video he couldn't believe that it was a not guilty verdict. And usually he's one of the guys who goes out and talks about crime statistics and, you know, talks about the police not being racist and this kind of thing. But he had absolutely nothing but, you know, negative things to say. And then I'm guessing you saw the jury breakdown as well.
I haven't seen that yet.
So the jury was...
you mean who was in the jury?
Yeah.
There were two black people.
Yeah, they had two black people. And like, look, again, it's really strange in America. It seems strange to me from a UK perspective, because we don't have jury selection in the sense that you don't get a bunch of people in a room and then have the lawyers go over who's going to be in a jury. You just get a letter one day and you open it up and it says you are doing jury duty on this day for this case, and you need a reason to excuse yourself, and it has to be a good one. And it's legally mandated. They got to give you the time off work paid and everything else. It's jury duty. You can't get out of it, but nobody picks the jury. But this was an interesting one for me, because obviously they had a breakdown of, like, I'll read you some of the descriptions here. Had an old white female who manages a gas station, but also does some subcontracting work for the police. They got a middle-aged white guy who works in a school, who was kind of around the corner from where the victim was shot. And he's also got ties to the local police because his nephew's a police officer. His father was the local fire chief in the town. Mm-hmm. You got another middle-aged white guy who is like a gun owner and believes that the criminal justice system in America is a very fair process. That's the quote. Another middle-aged white female who is a church volunteer, whose husband was carjacked at gunpoint, and had again, quote, high regard for the police. There's another one, white male in his 40s, who was a wellness coach, and says that he was considered to be the most sympathetic on this jury. in the sense that he said that marijuana should be legalized. Nobody should go to jail for it. So he was like a pro weed dude. There was like a biker, somebody else who works with the police from a computer perspective. Like she does computers and does the computing IT for the local police department. So there was all these like ties to the police and like the neighborhood, and it just didn't seem representative of the victim at all. And a lot of people got outraged about that. I mean, what I would say as a counter, I suppose, is that a jury is supposed to represent the community. And in that sense, it does. But, you know, it kind of made it made the decision feel a little bit fucking off for me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. I didn't read that far into it. I saw like the men to women ratio of it, but I didn't know it was like that. It does kind of sound like they stacked it just a little bit to be in Yanez's favor.
Yeah, and you know, like you say, even with that stacking, you know, there was two people on the fence about it, but yeah, you know, so what do you think's going to kind of come of this? Because this is definitely one that isn't going to go anywhere. There's already journalists finding like, you know, Ferguson Police Department sent an email of support to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, definitely not. So
Jesus, man,
that's now gone public.
Yeah.
So I think this could be bad, dude. Like I get a feeling this is gonna like kind of dominate the news cycle for a while, and we're gonna get into the same old conversations about, you know, racist police institutions and black community, and I think this is, for me, this is one where it's like I can't even defend. Like in this case, I don't feel like I can defend the officer. Again, I know you've got a different perspective, but for me, I saw a cop lose control. You know. Yeah,
I can't defend him either, man. I say that in my video. I'm not defending him, but if you put yourself in his shoes, I can see where he's coming from. I don't think his training was good enough for that whole situation. Because, I mean, it's a shit show. As far as where it's going, man, I don't know. I don't want people to take away from this that like all police are bad, but you know that's what a lot of people are going to take away from it. And that was Officer Yanez's fuck up. It's not police as a whole's fuck up. And you know he didn't shoot him because he was black, and people are saying that it's negrophobia. That's a new term that I saw.
Really?
That he was, Raw Story, I think it's called. Some big, look it up. I think it's called Raw Story. Some big news publication said he shot him because it was negrophobia. He was just scared that he was a black guy, and you know.
Holy shit! That is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! It's even in the fucking dictionary. What the fuck? How have I never heard that before?
I'd never heard it until they did the story about Phando on it, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Raw Story, Injustice and Negrophobia. I'll let Sam put this up on the screen. But yeah, man. You know, I don't know. It's a fucking really sad situation. But it's like I say. Sometimes I think police officers. It's like because like there is. Here's what fucks me up. There does seem to be something that stops officers that me and you would probably, if we were having a beer and we were going, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that guy should have gone to jail. Totally. Like, right? There does seem to be something that stops that happening. I mean, that's an observation I feel comfortable making. Like people who do things, like even if like in this instance, sure, they're not found not guilty, but even like when people are kind of found guilty, it's like you lose your job. Here's a fine.
Yeah.
They do seem to be very lax on the officers that are fucking up all the good officers shit by being, you know, like you say, either untrained or out of control or doing something. They don't go to prison.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I literally don't know why that is. I was always told as a kid, police officers are held to a much higher standard because they're wearing the uniform. Mm-hmm. So you gotta live your life right. You know, ain't no having a crafty joint on the weekends when you're a fucking police officer. You fail a fucking piss test. I always got told you're gonna get absolutely beasted. Forget about it. I mean, different world back then. 20 years ago. But, you know, seriously, like, it seems to me that I don't get why these people don't go to jail. I mean, you know, in this case, sure, not guilty, so it's moot. But if he had been found guilty, I don't know what would have happened to him. I doubt he would have been going to fucking prison for a long time. Yeah.
I mean, you got to think, too, each individual circumstance where a police officer has a possibility of going to jail, like, you know, charging him and trying to put him in jail for an incident that happened. Every single incident is different. Mm-hmm. There's different circumstances that led up to it. There's different rapport between the officer and the suspect. There's so many complications that go into one shooting and like one trial. I don't want to blanket them all together and say, well, they're not sending all these officers to jail. But I'd love to do a video on it, man. I've been trying to do one here recently, like the ones where people are outraged, not specifically Phando, but some of the older ones, just where people are outraged, break it down and see why they didn't actually go to jail. Because the headlines might read, police officer kills unarmed man, and I'm not talking about Phando, but police officer kills unarmed man, he didn't go to jail. And people take that headline and they're like, oh, well, he didn't go to jail. Oh, okay, this is fucked up. But if you get further and further into it and dig deeper and look at different sources, then you kind of start to put a story together as to why they didn't go to jail.
Yeah. So here's one thing. I'll tell you this, why you brought up classic shootings. There's one, I know you'll have seen it. But it was a story about a guy who his kid had been abducted by like his karate instructor who was like a fucking child molester
in the airport.
Yeah, and this guy, he'd abducted the kid and like abused him for like days, and then like dropped him back off at the house after he was missing and stuff. And there's a video, because while the guy's getting taken away to court or whatever, or to jail, there's a video TV crew following him. And the dad just fucking rears up out from like the payphones at the airport, puts a fucking shotgun to his head as he's walking past, and just fucking pulls the fucking trigger. Yeah. And they're all going, and like people jump on him and go, why? It's like all this drama and shit. Obviously, he did shoot someone in the head. That will cause a bit of drama. But like that dude didn't go to jail.
Nope.
A jury found him not guilty. They found him guilty of diminished responsibility.
Yeah, they found him guilty of something small, but he ended up getting like probation or something because of it. Yeah. I thought I liked that outcome of that one. Honestly, man, the dude abducted his kid. The dude abducted his kid, sexually abused his kid for, like you said, days. I'm a father. I might do the same thing if someone did that to my kid.
I like it. You saved yourself there. You would, like, obviously the answer is we all would, right? I mean, like, or we don't want to at least, and it's tough. And this is an interesting, more moral quandary. And sorry, I know we've already been on the show for a while. But this fascinates me. The kind of need for restraint of like natural justice, right? Like the very palpable understanding of what natural justice is. Like somebody who does that. There is like there's a very real sense in everybody that if it was you, they kind of have it coming, right? I mean, you would be well within your rights, but of course you're not well within your rights. And what you're supposed to do if you are indeed a civilized human being, you're supposed to like say, no, it is fine that he only got sentenced to 8 years in a minimum security prison because he had a good attorney. And justice has been served, and my child will have to live with the horror of that, and the horror that, I couldn't protect them as a parent. But I must opt out of any fantasies about revenge, because this is not what civilization is. And I find that fucking duality in which we fucking exist, where it's like, again, there isn't a guy around who, if you said that to, guy abducts your child, molests them, and then drops them off at the house with a fucking Snickers bar in their back pocket. What would you do? I'd kill that guy. And everyone goes, yep. And no one bats an eyelid, right? Reality, you're supposed to say, well, I would allow due process to occur. I would allow a full forensic investigation and a long trial. And then I would respect the court's decision.
Yeah.
It's fucking mad, isn't it? Like
when you put it that way, yeah.
Yeah. I like if somebody said that to me, I would be like, what's wrong with you? But that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. That's so crazy. There you go. See, people in the chat get it. It's going, you want to enjoy society, but be an animal on the weekends.
Yeah.
So yeah, just give me some thoughts on that, man. Because again, you must have a perspective on like how do we all rein in like all the parts, right? Like you must have found yourself sometimes knowing all you do about the world. You must have fucking found yourself at some point kind of thinking, like, you know, oh, this is a veneer. There's something behind it, right?
Man, that whole thing that is crazy. Where you're talking about the duality of it, where people are supposed to respect the justice system, but at the same time, you're kind of like, this guy's a shithead. And there's been situations as a police officer where I've had to arrest people that, like, you know, raped a baby and things like that, and you just want to blow their heads off, but you have to respect the system. Jesus. And I mean, those two worlds just have to live by each other. Your animal instincts and knowing that you got to be civilized about the whole thing.
Well, look, man,
I think that's where a lot of the stress from policing comes from too, man, and why there's a lot of suicide as far as officers go. It's like you see all this bad shit, and you really, really want to actually do something about it, or you really want to help this person, and the system fails police officers too, man. Like, you'll have bad people get sent to jail for such short amount of time, or like this person who just raped a baby, they need to be executed in order for the world to be without them, so they won't go and do it again. But it's just, it doesn't happen. It's a feeling of hopelessness.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's that's the fucking real me. I should have started with that. That's what I should have done. I should have started with that question rather than fucking ending on it. But honestly, dude, it's something that's always kind of like played on my mind. Like, how do you do it? You know, when someone's just done something that feels as close to evil, you know, as is humanly possible, right? And you're the guy that's got to say, well, there's this entire wonderful system that's going to protect you. And I'm going to be the person that turns you over to it when I don't believe you deserve it. But this is how civilization works. I got to respect your human rights, even though you don't have it within you to respect the rights of any other living thing. It's tough. That is the fucking measure, I guess. That is the fucking measure, dude. So I'm glad you never got to. I'm glad you never went over to the dark side, or we probably would have been doing this interview with like a big Perspex screen between us, you know, like doing it on a fucking telephone. It'd be like visiting my dad again. So look, we can end on positivity and love and light, because it's been a fucking fascinating conversation. You know, the time's just flown by. But obviously, principally, you are just a guy who streams games and likes to have fun. You're not about that life anymore. So tell us about your content, what you got coming up, where people can find you, any immediate plans for the future.
Oh, man. Okay, so DonutOperator, of course, YouTube. I have no plans coming up for my content whatsoever other than doing what I've been doing, which is taking critical incidents, police incidents, shootings, things like that, and breaking them down and then adding some funny stuff in there, because I like public shaming when it comes to people acting like that. Yeah, man, that's it. You can follow me anywhere: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course.
What is it?
I'm all over the place.
Give me the handle. We've got it on the overlay. Did Sam do it?
It's always DonutOperator. It's DonutOperator everywhere. So except YouTube, DonutOperator official on YouTube.
Oh, right. Well, you got an impersonator.
Yeah. I did. I don't know if that account's still around, but
oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just joking.
Somebody stole the name from me.
Jesus Christ, what a prick. Do they know who they're fucking with? That's what you should be like. I still got friends. I've still got friends, motherfucker. I can get a YouTube name back. That's no problem. Well, look, it's been awesome, kind of talking to you and hanging out. And I genuinely do wish you every fucking success. I think you're an interesting character. I think you deserve fucking, all the success moving forward. I don't know if you ever planning on coming to any esports events, or whatever, because I saw it when you were playing Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I would love to come to something. Yeah,
you should do it, man. I'm trying to think what we got coming up in America. Because I don't want you to have to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's that? There's one
in October.
There's one in Atlanta though, isn't there? A DreamHack Atlanta?
Isn't E-League Season 2 in September?
Yeah, we did announce that, right? I'm not gonna get fucked. Yeah. We did. I should know that. Yeah, we announced it. Yeah, we announced that at the Clash for Cash. Yeah. So yeah, we got DreamHack Atlanta, we got E-League in September. I mean, shit, you're not too far from here, are you?
No, I live in South Carolina.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like an hour and a half away from Atlanta, so
the good Carolina. Yeah, you should come out, man. Like I'll take you out and introduce you to some people. The only problem is I don't know if DreamHack are gonna let me in. But if I say, hey, I'm going with a fucking police officer, he vouches for me. He'll keep any Dota players safe. Maybe they'll let me in if you come with me. So. But yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch and sync something up because I'd like more people to get to know you and have fun in esports. So anyway, there we have it. That is the end of the Richard Lewis show. Make sure you show a lot of love for Donut Operator. Like I said, he's a good guy and his content is fucking rad. Thanks to all the people who over the course of this broadcast subscribed and donated and everything else that you guys do. And of course, just for one shameless plug, do excuse me a moment, Mr. Operator. We've got some new stuff in the merchandise store, haven't we, Sam?
Yeah, we got a Din Hat mug and like some reverse color shit that people asked for. I added some stuff in there.
So we've even got Didnap and mugs now, guys. And we are, like I say, commissioning a new T-shirt, which is going to be Grow the Fuck Up. We had, all of you guys coming out and sending us pictures. We'll put it in the next main podcast, but definitely go check out the store. And if you're watching this on YouTube as a VOD, obviously do the like, comment, and subscribe shit. I'm sorry I have to keep saying it. I know it's boring, but YouTube does keep unsubscribing people because it's a piece of shit. So make sure you don't get got by them. But that's it. We're going to take a break now. I think me and Sam are going to stream some PUBG a little bit later on. But until then, look after yourselves and be sure to go say something nice to Donut Operator on Twitter. Take care. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.